Bitcoin crash. Will emotion get the best of us? I'm going to go through my article here really quickly, and I'm also going to read the article at the end, giving you more deep dive data if you so wish. So stay till the end. The last couple minutes will be an article that I'm sharing from Anthony Papagliano, which dives in more of the fundamentals, charts, the technicals, showing you Bitcoin and the strength of the network. So let's jump right into this. Naturally, I'm receiving a lot of questions about Bitcoin's price movements and people asking me how I feel. I just bought a bunch more yesterday and limit orders set to auto buy at certain prices around 20K, 17.5, 15K. So just showing my strength or my conviction in the network. I've never been more convicted than I am now. I hope it continues to move down so I can accumulate more and more at cheaper fiat prices. Everyone wants to accrue more in this game of investing and be able to give back more, right? So, the fiat price does matter in the sense that we can accumulate more the farther that falls. But that means it's going to springboard higher going forward. And we've covered a lot of this over time, obviously, so I'm not going to cover all that here today. But again, I've never been more convicted than I am now. And Bitcoin's fundamentals have never been stronger. As Warren Buffett tells us, when others are fearful, it's time to be greedy. And when others are greedy, it's time to be fearful. We must understand that the assets we invest in, never invest just because someone else does. Please do your own homework and never take my word or someone else's word as gospel. The real reason and true reason I'm an owner of Bitcoin is the power of the network and the network to disrupt banks and government. It's all right in front of us if we stay the course. It is a true Trojan horse. I'm on a mission for freedom for everybody. It's time to get out of the system. The way we cripple, people say we need a system change, we need to change things. We have left capitalism. There's no more free markets. We left that 100 years ago with the central banks. Obviously, a lot of what we do here is because of central banking and the evils of central banking. Again, we're not going to get into that. We've made other posts about how the system works and how the central bankers rob you of everything, your wealth, your time, your energy. We need to disrupt that system. Henry Ford predicted an energy money 100 years ago, and it's being worked on really since that time. And Bitcoin was finally that breakthrough technology, and that's why all the altcoins, all these scams, people saw that they finally figured it out, and it's open source, so anyone can go scam off that coin and try to make their own coin and enrich themselves. And those people behind the scenes are generally just buying Bitcoin with all their proceeds they get from their scam coins or altcoins. So just remember that. Again, this is a mission for freedom. This is what Bitcoin enables us. The price, that's great. In fiat terms, that's awesome. That's well and good. And people can get wealthy from it. That's great. But when you go down this rabbit hole, you realize that this is true freedom for everyone. And when even if someone who doesn't own Bitcoin, the importance of this, even if someone never owns Bitcoin, but Bitcoin, what the network will do, pricing things in energy because of technology going to zero really over time and being true abundance in just infinite energy, because energy is all around us. It's just matter, and it's just transferred, just like wealth is. But that true abundance will come in the form of a deflationary currency and deflationary system, unlike what we have now, the inflationary system, where the middle class is squeezed and people are squeezed down into that communist, progressive socialist system of getting rid of the middle class and pushing people into the poor class. And then you have a few elites, the cantillionaires at the top, the elites, sitting by the printing press, the politicians, the elites, the globalists, just sucking off of everyone else and pushing papers around, doing nothing. It's good for thee, but not for good for thee, but not for me. And flying to Davos in their private jets. This is what this disrupts. You cannot go print endless currency and go to endless wars, because that doesn't work on a finite standard, on a finite money. That's why this is so important. And again, I appreciate you going down this tangent with me, because this is so incredibly important. Everything is right in front of us, and they're going to come out with central bank digital currencies, and things are going to change because they're going to have big brother's going to be watching everything you do and shutting you out of the system. This is why Bitcoin will become the dominant asset in the coming years, because people will realize, my goodness, I am being trapped by this system. I need a way out, and that's what Bitcoin will do. Immutable, uncensorable, unconfiscatable. It is priceless. Mission for freedom is priceless to me. It's more than anything fiat can buy. It's the opportunity that Bitcoin gives all of us. I just met a friend today, again, who was setting up a Bitcoin mining rig fund, a Bitcoin mining fund that I will eventually invest in, and when he's ready to go. And that's how convicted I am going towards freedom. That's why this is so important. I'll continue putting my depreciating assets, my dollars, into appreciating assets, Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining rigs to strengthen the network. And again, we've gone through my portfolio. I'm going to continue doing that once a month, eventually for our paid subscribers, doing that and really breaking that down more. That's, diversification is good. I have 20 to 30% of our portfolio in this right now, and it will go up over time as Bitcoin goes up. But again, your knowledge as it goes up, as you can see here, you tend to allocate more and more towards Bitcoin because you understand the power of what's going on. Again, the fiat price really has very little to do with it. It does at the beginning. It sucks people in, as they say in the Bitcoin world. People come for the wealth and they stay for the freedom. They come for the money, stay for the freedom. That is beyond true. Again, the last month has made a lot of Bitcoin holders because of exchanges getting blown up or altcoins blowing up. And I've seen people on Twitter and people everywhere saying, I should have listened. I should have put all my stuff in Bitcoin and got it in cold storage, took it off exchanges, got rid of these altcoins because they're blowing up left and right. That's what happens when liquidity is removed from the system. It gets destroyed, and you have people that they can't fund things. All the zombie companies start going belly up. The bad entrepreneurs, the bad companies, the bad projects, the bad altcoins, the bad exchanges, whatever it is, when their liquidity is gone, it's great. When everyone's just pumping fake currency into the system, everyone can get away with everything. But the true character comes out when the tide goes out, the liquidity tide goes out. We see what emperors are swimming naked, and that's what's coming. When liquidity is, interest rates go up, liquidity gets sucked out of the system, and they start taking the punch bowl away. That's what will happen. And the Fed will eventually jump back in and start printing things to the moon again. And that's where you're going to see Bitcoin ultimately. My macro thesis, again, is that Bitcoin is going to go to the moon. It's going to go in waves, but it's going to go to the moon. Maybe a couple 100,000. It'll be in the millions someday. This is my opinion. It's not financial advice. I believe it'll be in the millions someday. 10, 15, 20 years from now, it'll be in the millions, probably tens of millions, because of the amount of currency that's been printed and will continue to be printed. It has to be printed, or else the system implodes. So that where value will go, it'll go find Gresham's law. Bad money seeks good money, or bad money drives out good money, and it will seek value, and that's why Bitcoin will continue going up over time. And again, I love Bitcoin because it cannot be taken away from me. There will never be more than 21 million, so the value will continue going up over time mathematically. And this is why people are saying, gosh, I should have listened. I should have got out of here. My stuff's frozen in Celsius. My stuff's frozen in whatever it may be now. Or my altcoin blew up, so I've lost all my wealth. This is why Bitcoin exists, is to escape from this system, this banker, essentially globally driven banking system. Remember, the Genesis block says, Chancellor on the brink of second bailout. That was the Genesis block of Bitcoin. It started because of this scam, Occupy Wall Street, all this stuff going on. And the bankers enriching themselves in 87 and in 97 and 2000, 2001, 08 crash, all these crashes, and the bankers just liquidating everything and giving themselves the wealth, golden parachutes, all this stuff. This is what Bitcoin is set out to change, and is changing. When it's off the exchange in a cold storage wallet, I sleep like a baby at night, and that could not be more true. Wealth can never be stolen from me because of bad actors, governments, or thieves, unless I'm careless with my seed phrase or passphrase, there's different names for that. And if I give that out to people or I leave it somewhere, Bitcoin is immutable wealth that I cannot be censored from. When you truly understand that you're building your own bank away from insurance companies, governments, or other counterparties who have their own incentives and usually not aligned with yours, that is when you realize the power of Bitcoin. Any of these places can stop you out of the system. They can say, nope, that's not yours. Nope, we're not giving you your full payout. Nope, we're not giving you whatever. You have no say in that. They are the arbiters. Just like the US dollar was frozen from a nuclear world power earlier this year. The dollars in the bank are not yours anymore. They're the banks. Legally, they are the banks. They go lend those out. When you come to get it, they tell you, they tattletale on you when you put more than 10,000 in, probably more than 600 now, and they label you, a terrorist or whatever it is, and it is not yours. It is theirs. It's not there in safekeeping. That's why why do they have insurance on your own money that you put in the bank, or on your own currency? It's yours, right? No, it's not. It's theirs. They can stop you out of the system. They took Russia out of the system. They froze it. They can freeze you out of the system. Again, that's what Bitcoin solves. Who are we? Who am I to think that I'm bigger than Russia, that I won't be frozen out of the system? They did it to the Canadian truckers, the little guy. They did it to a nuclear superpower. And it's going to happen to everyone in between if we keep going down this road. This is what Bitcoin is, a parallel system that people can escape to, and it starts crumbling the legacy system, this system that's been corrupted for 100 years because of central banks. More than 100 years, but the Federal Reserve, the final one we've had here, the third one here in America, it crumbles that, and we have this parallel system built in this other world, so that when that world crumbles, we have this other world we can live in and go to. So if you want to dive in further the technicals and fundamentals, here's an awesome post from Anthony Pompliano regarding the price versus value of Bitcoin. It shows the fundamentals are stronger than ever, and the network could not be more robust. Again, keep your diamond hands strong. And again, I have it down here. You remember, Bitcoin is compounded annually for around 150% each year. It's been anywhere from 100 to 200% basically for 13 years. So those are the ones that have sold out, are the ones that lose. That's it. So it might go down 6 months or 12 months, but over the long term, if you zoom out, remember to zoom out in a 10-year, 5-year chart, and look at it logarithmically, you can see it goes up and to the right. So, and again, I don't have everything in Bitcoin, and I still diversify, but again, it'll be much more in my portfolio as the network accrues value. So remember that. I never would tell anyone to put 100% of their assets. There's some days I feel like I should put 100% of my net worth in my asset in Bitcoin, but I don't, because I think diversification is good. You need analog and digital, and just the power of this. And a lot of my work and energy goes towards the Bitcoin network and talking about it and educating people about it. But I don't have all my assets in there, just because you don't know. There could be black swans, right? I mean, if the world gets hit by a solar flare or nuclear or something and knocks out the power grid, then yeah, we have bigger problems. And then, food, maybe some gold and silver, water, those are the most important things. So, you want to be prepared for the tail risks as well. So that's important to me. So, that is the end of this. Now, going to part 2, I'm going to read, you can cut out here if you need to. I'm going to read Pomp's letter, which he is a phenomenal newsletter as well. We'll go to this, click that link, and talk about price, Bitcoin value versus price. So it says, to investors, Bitcoin's price has been falling for months and sits under $25,000. Although these price drawdowns never get easy, they have happened numerous times over the years. It is always a good reminder to reevaluate the Bitcoin thesis and check out the underlying fundamental data. First, the Bitcoin thesis is simple: an open source, decentralized digital technology, a digital currency that boasts a programmatic monetary policy and finite supply will be valuable in a digital world. Everyone still agrees that we are headed towards the digital world, so the question shifts towards the ideals of decentralization, programmatic monetary policy, and finite supply. In my opinion, people aren't necessarily adopting Bitcoin because of these features, but rather because of what the features empower: prevent currency debasement, censorship resistance, seizure resistance, etc. The thesis is equivalent to perceived long-term value. Price and value are different, but to ensure that value is not also falling as aggressively as price, we must take a look at the underlying fundamentals of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network hash rate has more than quadrupled in the last 3 years. It continues to hit all-time high levels today, proving that the network has never been more secure. And remember, China banned the miners a year ago, and still that's where you see this big drawdown in 2021. And now it's higher, way higher than it was then. So it just goes to show you again the resilience and the robustness of the network. The average transaction fee paid on Bitcoin is currently under $1.50, and we didn't see it in fees when Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs for the second time in 2021. This is a big improvement from the spike in fees when Bitcoin hit the 2017 all-time high and Q1 of 2021. Much of the improvement in fees that started in the second half of 2021 can be attributed to Layer 1 technology innovation and the continued rise of the Lightning Network. And again, it shows a chart of the transaction fees. If we look at the on-chain distribution, we see Bitcoin, on-chain distribution of Bitcoin, we see the wallet addresses with 0.01 Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin, and 1 Bitcoin continue to hit all-time high levels. This is different than the major whale wallet sizes. So you can infer that large whales have been selling and small wallets have been buying. Again, shows the charts there of the different balances of 0.01, 0.1, and 1 Bitcoin. Another way to look at this is the cost basis for the long-term and short-term holders, measured by 155 days of holding. You can see here that Will Clemente pointed out that these two metrics are getting close to crossing, which signals the long-term holders are in a dominant position. Long-term holder cost basis is rising as short-term holder cost basis declines. If this persists and short-term holders crosses below long-term holders, historically has marked generational Bitcoin buying opportunities. We are getting close. And again, shows on-chain cost basis here in the chart below. Transaction metrics continue to look healthy as well. We see active addresses and total successful transaction account remaining in line with their historical ranges. And again, showing two charts showing the number of active addresses and the number of transactions. The percent of Bitcoin in circulating supply that is now in profit is under 52%, which has historically been close to marking bear market bottoms, usually sub 50%. And again, there's a chart showing that. Lastly, the Lightning Network capacity continues to reach all-time high levels, which Lightning is the layer 2 solution, increasing the transaction speed and the large reduction in payments and micro payments on the Bitcoin network. So it is important to understand that Bitcoin's current drawdown in price is largely driven by changes in the macroeconomy. Increase in interest rates coupled with quantitative tightening has driven correlations across assets toward one, and we are seeing asset price sell-offs across the financial market. It is important to revisit your thesis in these moments. Do the inputs still hold true? Do you reach the same conclusion when new information is concluded? Are the underlying fundamentals still attractive? Is price nearly disconnected from value, or has the value changed? After conducting the reevaluation of Bitcoin over the weekend, I come to the same conclusion. Bitcoin continues to be an attractive store of long value for the long term. The current price drawdown is in direct contradiction to many of the underlying fundamental metrics, which are near or at all-time high levels. The network is healthy. Adoption is continuing. The undisciplined monetary and fiscal policy backdrop is becoming more obvious to the average citizen. Bitcoin's price falling is not fun, but value measurements of Bitcoin are telling a different story. The best investors understand that controlling their emotions in these moments is important. They make decisions based on value, not price. The big variable here is the Federal Reserve. They are in control, and assets generally are one big trade right now. Keep your head on a swivel, constantly revisit and reevaluate your investment thesis. Think critically, ensure you're willing to change your mind when the information changes. Your mind, your wallet will thank you over the long run. Pomp. So there you have it. Appreciate you guys. That was a long one today, but I just wanted to, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I wanted to kind of address not my opinion, but also some other experts in the field and what they're thinking and feeling, and some data and charts showing price versus value, which is just incredibly important as investors. So I appreciate you guys. If you like the content here, please subscribe, please share it with people, and let us know what questions you have, and we will answer those as soon as possible. And we appreciate your time, your attention, your energy. It's the most important asset we have. We'll see you on the next one.